Hi, hello, welcome, friends. The Grammys suck. Who knew? The nominees for the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards were recently announced, and as expected, the internet went wild. The seemingly most notable snub of this year's Grammys is The Weeknd, aka Abel McConan Tesfaye? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it, is it? I don't know. The Canadian singer-songwriter who has launched into popularity over the last few years, attaining global success. I don't know if y'all knew, but he put out an album this year on March 20th, 2020. Did you know that? After Hours was its name, and getting snubbed by the Grammys was its game. For those who don't know, this album included two pretty big singles. The first being Heartless, produced by Metro Boomin, which I personally love. The second was this little song called Blinding Lights. Just a teeny tiny song that no one cared about or anything like that. This song went number 1 in 31 countries, stayed number 1 for weeks, and is his most successful single to date as the longest running top 10 song in Hot 100 history. Let that sink in. Oh, and it also went platinum. So, also 1.7 billion plays on Spotify, making it one of Spotify's top 10 most streamed songs. So no big deal, obviously. Now, I'm usually not one to make a huge deal out of numbers and charts and whatnot, because none of that shit is really important to me. However, usually it's pretty important to the Recording Academy, or at the very least it plays a big part in who gets nominated for these things along with the music itself. And as far as the music itself, critics generally loved this album, and so did regular consumers like me. I mean, I'm not a huge Weeknd stan or anything, but I would say I'm more of like a casual fan. This album was amazing. Some critics even went as far as saying it's his best album yet, and I kind of agree. I mean, it was beautiful, and it was dark, and it was sad. He really told a story through these songs, and it was a good story. So naturally, when the Grammys announced these nominations and Abel is nowhere to be found, and I mean nowhere to be found, yeah, we're gonna be pretty pissed off about it. I was completely shocked. Like, they really didn't give him shit. Not in the R&B categories, not in the pop categories, no album of the year, no record of the year. Nada, son. So The Weeknd actually tweeted this by saying, "The Grammys remain corrupt. You owe me, my fans, and the industry transparency. Collaboratively planning a performance for weeks to not being invited? In my opinion, 0 nominations equals you're not invited." So clearly he's just as pissed off, if not more pissed off, as the rest of us, understandably. His manager also tweeted this, clearly also upset, saying, "Corrupt leaders need to step aside. Enough hiding behind your desks. We won't tolerate or stay quiet. The time for change is now. We need transparency." I don't know why, just the exclamation points made me wanna. Anyway, now allegedly, and this is coming from TMZ, so take it with a grain of salt, child, but apparently he was given the ultimatum of either performing at the Grammys or performing at the Super Bowl. The Weeknd was faced with a tough choice: perform the Grammys or the Super Bowl, but hammering out a deal to do both could have cost him Grammy nominations. Sources familiar with the situation tell us The Weeknd's team was in talks for weeks with Grammy brass, who issued the ultimatum: us or the Super Bowl. We're told both sides eventually came to an agreement where Abel could do both, but not without negotiations getting very testy. Our sources say there's growing suspicion Abel's decision to perform at this year's Super Bowl cost him Grammy noms, because the bitter back and forth talks pissed off Grammy honchos. But of course, the Grammys chief Harvey Mason Jr. completely denies these corruption claims. He says that he too was surprised that The Weeknd did not receive any nominations, and confirms reports that the artist was originally expected to perform at the Grammys on January 31st, as well as the Super Bowl the following week. But he denies that the negotiations around that situation, which sources say became contentious, had any role in The Weeknd's absence from the nominations. We understand that The Weeknd is disappointed disappointed at not being nominated. He continues, "I was surprised and can empathize with what he's feeling. His music this year was excellent, and his contributions to the music community and broader world are worthy of everyone's admiration." I mean, clearly, you and your people didn't think so, but let's continue. Unfortunately, every year there are fewer nominations than the number of deserving artists, but as the only peer-voted music award, we will continue to recognize and celebrate excellence in music while shining a light on the many amazing artists that make up our global community. To be clear, voting in all categories ended well before The Weeknd's performance at the Super Bowl was announced, so in no way could it have affected the nomination process. It's entirely possible that the screening committees which determine which releases are appropriate for their respective categories may have decided that he didn't fit their categories. In other words, the pop committee may have considered him R&B and the R&B committee considered him pop, which, you know, is definitely a possibility, I guess. But no album of the year, no record of the year, no song of the year. That's insane to me. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems sketch to me. And if you guys would like to read the full article, I'll link it down below. It's just the fact that he wasn't included in one category. Like, they couldn't give him in that phenomenal album one nomination? One? This shit don't sit right with me. But as many of you know, this isn't the first time the Grammys has snubbed incredible artists and songs and albums. In 2017, Adele's 25 won over Beyonce's Lemonade. Ooh, I remember that one. That was a punch in the gut a little bit right there. I'm not gonna lie. In 2016, Taylor Swift's 1989 beat out Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. Okay. 2015, Beck's Morning Phase beat out Beyonce's Self-Titled. Ooh, child, I remember that shit, bruh. Twitter was on fire. You hear me? I'm sure we all remember this one. 2014's Best New Artist, Kendrick Lamar, was beaten by Macklemore. Not to mention he also, which was probably the more shocking one, like, okay, Best New Artist, all right, fine, give it to him. But this man also won Best Rap Album that year over Kendrick and Drake and Jay-Z and Kanye. Is it crack? Is it crack that they're smoking? Because I need to know. 2013, Mumford & Sons' Babel won over Frank Ocean's Channel Orange. 2011, and I remember this vividly, Best New Artist taken by Esperanza Spalding over Drake and Justin Bieber. Child, did anyone know who Esperanza Spalding even was? I mean, this shit has been going on for years, you guys, even back in 1984. And I didn't even know this until I started researching for this video. Every Breath You Take by The Police won Song of the Year over Michael Jackson's Beat It and Billie Jean, which is wild. Now, granted, Michael did take home all 8 Grammys that night, so I'm sure it didn't hurt him too much. But still, regardless of your thoughts on Michael Jackson, I think he deserved to go home with 9 that year. And there are plenty of artists who have never won a Grammy at all to this day, including Snoop Dogg, Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Brian McKnight, Nas, Diana Ross, Busta Rhymes, Tupac, Biggie, Queen, Jimi Hendrix. Like, the list goes on, people. So clearly this is nothing new. The Grammys have been pulling this bullshit for years and years, and they're going to continue to do it. You know why? Because they're rich and because they can. Halsey, who is a pop singer who I'm also kind of a casual fan of, is another artist who the Grammys don't really give that much of a shit about. And she actually took to Instagram recently to throw in her 2 cents about the good old Recording Academy. I've been thinking and wanted to choose my words carefully because a lot of people have extended sympathy and apology to me since the Grammy nominations. The Grammys are an elusive process. It can often be about behind the scenes private performances, knowing the right people, people, campaigning through the grapevine with the right handshakes and bribes that can be just ambiguous enough to pass as not bribes. And if you get that far, it's about committing to exclusive TV performances and making sure you help the Academy make their millions in advertising on the night of the show. Perhaps sometimes it is, but it's not always about the music or quality or culture. Just wanted to get that off my chest. The Weeknd deserves better, and Manic did too. Perhaps it's unbecoming of me to say so, but I can't care anymore. While I am thrilled for my talented friends who were recognized this year, I am hoping for more transparency or reform. But I'm sure this post will blacklist me anyway. So yeah, I found that pretty interesting. And my man's Drake also spoke out a bit on the situation on Instagram, saying, I think we should stop allowing ourselves to be shocked every year by the disconnect between impactful music and these awards, and just accept that what once was the highest form of recognition may no longer matter to the artists that exist now and the ones that come after. It's like a relative you keep expecting to fix up, but they just can't change their ways. The other day I said The Weeknd was the lock for either album or song of the year, along with countless other reasonable assumptions, and it just never goes that way. This is a great time for somebody to start something new that we can build up over time and pass on to the generations to come. I agree. I think we as consumers need to stop putting shows like the Grammys up on this pedestal, and music artists need to do the same. Like, if I was a musician and I got nominated for a Grammy, I would be stoked and I would appreciate the recognition. But I also would understand that I don't need that award or any award to define me as an artist. It doesn't define my music or my success. It's just a bonus little cool gift. And that's all it is. When you start letting the numbers and the accolades control how you make your art, that, I think, is when you lose yourself. So in other words, fuck the Grammys. That's all I wanted to say. I'll leave you guys off with some wise words from Mr. Aubrey Drake Graham from the 2019 Grammy Awards, which seemingly sum up this video in a nutshell. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, comment down below what the fuck you think about all this shit, and I'll see you in the next one.
Watching this, that are aspiring to do music, all my peers that make music from their heart, that do things pure and tell the truth, I want to let you know we play in an opinion-based sport. Not a factual-based sport. So it's not the NBA where at the end of the year you're holding a trophy because you made the right decisions or won the games. This is a business where sometimes, you know, it's up to a bunch of people that might not understand, you know, what a mixed race kid from Canada has to say, or a fly Spanish girl from New York, or anybody else, or a brother from Houston right there, my brother Travis. But look, the point is, you've already won if you have people who are singing your songs word for word, if you're a hero in your hometown. Look, if there's people who have regular jobs who are coming out in the rain, in the snow, spending their hard-earned money to buy tickets to come to your shows, you don't need this right here, I promise you. You already won.